All right, once Labor Day weekend rolls around, that's when I put up my autumn fragrances video, and that's exactly what I've got for you guys today. I've got 22 fragrances that I'm going to talk to you about that are perfect to wear during the autumn months, and one bonus option as well. If you're curious to learn about these, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yesterday we're talking about fragrances that are perfect to wear during the autumn months. Whose favorite season is autumn? It's definitely my favorite season, followed by spring, and then winter, and then summer. I enjoy summer as well, but I get tired of the heat. I'm not really good with heat. So I definitely prefer the other seasons. But autumn is my favorite season, and I've got great fragrances for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and get started with the fragrances. But before I do, just so you guys know, we only have, as of the shooting of this video, one Scent Club kit number 6 left, and only 7 or 6 different kit number 5s left. So we're almost completely out, and we're also probably going to drop that surprise kit before we drop kit number 7 in October. So surprise kit coming up at the end of September, although it could be just like a week before the end of September. So stay tuned for that to drop rare fragrances that you can only buy online from a brand that's very, very well known in the niche world. And they are launching some exclusive fragrances that are not going to have samples available for them, and you'll be able to sample them through Scent Club. Also, just so you know, we have the last several mystery box discounts on the perfumeguy.net website where the discounts are added. We finally got all the discounts for all the fragrances. So those of you that are in the market for buying those fragrances, there's definitely discount codes available now for every single fragrance in the mystery box. So let's get started with the first fragrance, going to the house of CARON. This is TABAC EXQUIS, this one right here. Remember, I did a video for this fragrance and I was gifted a 30 or 50 ml bottle. I'm almost out of that fragrance, and when we did the video, they had a promotion. I ended up buying a bottle for myself because I really love this fragrance. It's become my favorite new tobacco fragrance. I really love the balance of the dirty, ashy tobacco with the sweet kind of gourmandish touches. There's a bit of light chocolatey liqueur thing happening in here, along with the chocolate and cocoa notes, and then there's resins and spices and some iris and smoky touches as well. It's such a beautiful fragrance. I hope you guys get to try it. This is TABAC EXQUIS from the house of CARON. Definitely worth checking out. Moving on to the house of MANCERA. This was featured in a recent top MANCERA video I did last Saturday. This is Tonka Cola, fairly new here. Definitely a fizzy, a gourmandesque fragrance focusing on the tonka beans, and there's a cherryness in here as well. And for some reason, I get a little bit of a light tobacco-ish thing happening in here as well, because you get this kind of a tobacco-ish touch from tonka, and also a cherryness comes through as well, and they're both happening here, but lighter on the tobacco, more on the cherry, but definitely very fizzy tonka with spices and ambery touches and some vanillic touches as well. And then there's also some citruses in here as well, very light. So that's Tonka Cola from the house of MANCERA. Let me know if you're a fan of that one. And then moving on to the house of BDK, this is SOIR Extrait. This is the latest launch from this house, the latest extrait from this house, and it's really, really delicious, guys. It does have a bit of a designer-esque touch about it. It kind of hints at fragrances that are very popular for the ladies in the designer world, but I really like what they've done with this one, and I absolutely love the trail. And it's also garnered me compliments on one day I was wearing this one, and in another compliment another day. I'm an oversprayer. I kind of get noticed with my fragrance, and people tend to like fragrances like this. I really love the patchouli in here and the fruitiness with the quince. There's also some spices and vanillic touches and ambery touches as well. It's definitely very, very potent, and that's what I like about it. It's super, super delicious. If you don't know this one, do check it out. SOIR Extrait, a wonderful offering. I should mention a lot of the fragrances in today's video are fairly new, and we're going back maybe just a couple of years and that's it. A lot of them are very, very recent. This is a fragrance from a house called VOYAGES. This is L'Eau de Immortelle. L'Eau de Immortelle is focusing on the Immortelle note. It's a dry, grassy, caramelly, brown sugary kind of a note that's used in fragrances, but this one has a bit of a chocolatey edge and lots of amber in here. And for some reason with this fragrance, I get such a familiar touch about it. It's like some scent memory comes through with this. First of all, it reminds me a little bit of Sable from the house of Annick Goutal or Goutal Paris. It's created by the people behind Goutal Paris or Annick Goutal, so maybe they've kind of taken that formula, but they've amplified it with a lot of amber, and then they've given it the chocolatey edge. It's also got some sweetness and kind of gourmandish touches here, but it's definitely very ambery and also definitely loads of Immortelle, and I absolutely love it. And I feel like this smells like autumn, gourmand autumn for me, because the smell is Immortelle, and for me Immortelle smells like autumn because it's dry, grassy, caramelly, sticky, sweet, ambery, sugary kind of thing. And this is a wonderful offering. So this is Voyage Imaginaire from the house of, I'm sorry, this is Voyage Imaginaire house, but it's L'Eau de Immortelle. So the next fragrance that we're talking about is going to the house of NASOMATTO. The latest fragrance from this house, it's SADONASO. What a wonderful fragrance this is. It's definitely kind of original musk from the house of Kiehl's, but more animalic and also sweeter, kind of gourmandish as well. And I feel like this is a great job. I really love what they've done. It's got animalic notes, but it's balanced out with sweetness, and I feel like there's definitely kind of gourmandesque notes in here, along with animalic notes and some other notes to create this kind of a sweet musk that does remind you of a kind of a deer musk smell, but they're not using these kind of animalic notes to create the fragrance and what it is. If you like fragrances like Carnicure or L'Animal Sauvage, and you like fragrances like Original Musk from Kiehl's, and you want a little bit more ambery, gourmandesque, and a little more funky animalic stuff, you gotta check out SADONASO. I feel like it's a great fragrance. I really love it because I love musks. It's quite sexy, but also kind of gourmand, ambery as well. So that's SADONASO from the house of NASOMATTO. What a wonderful fragrance that is. It's a great, great fragrance. For me, I really enjoy it because musks can be very cozy, and with the fact that they've added some sweet gourmandish notes, it makes it uber comforting for me, and I love that about it. We're going to the house of Maitre Parfumeur Gantier. This is Ambre Tibet, this one right here. Those of you that were able to get a mystery box from Scent Club, you ended up with a sample of this fragrance. This is one of 4 different ambers from this house. Stay tuned for a video on the ambers of this house. I'll be putting that up very soon, just to kind of highlight their ambers. But this is another take on an amber. It might hint at Ambre Perso, their more popular one, but this goes into kind of a lightly boozy and also green camphoric direction. It's got davana and eucalyptus and loads of patchouli. It gets powdery, it gets woody, and also slightly animalic, and just a great fragrance. If you like ambers, you got to get your nose on this one, and those of you that got the mystery box probably have gotten your noses on this. There's definitely a discount code for this as well, but this is going to be put to use. I really love it. It smells great. It's actually inspired by Maitre Parfumeur Gantier's very popular Ambiance perfume, or home perfume. So a lot of people were asking them to create an actual wearable perfume of that smell, and that's why they've created Ambre Tibet. So Ambre Tibet, wonderful offering from that house. Then moving on to the house of Ormond Jane. This is Nawab of Oud, this one right here. Nawab of Oud is an oud that's very easy to wear, and definitely the style of Ormond Jane fragrances, in that they're very classy and very elegant. They won't overwhelm. If you're looking for beast mode, really super intense fragrances, you're not going to turn to Ormond Jane, but there's something very classy and elegant about the fragrances here, and this is a really great take on oud that's very easy to wear. It's got oud, ambergris, rose, there's spices and citruses in here. The combination is great. It's like long lasting, but I should say it's not like a screamer. So if you're looking for a screamer, that's not it. You're gonna have to turn somewhere else. But if you want something that's really great to wear, smells great with woods and oud and citruses and flowers and things like that, you're gonna look to fragrances from this house, and I think this is a great very easy to wear oud, as I was saying. So this is Nawab of Oud from the house of Ormond Jane. The next fragrance I've been mentioning quite a bit. It's one of my favorite fragrances of 2023. This is Dolce Melodia from the house of Sospiro. Absolute love for this one. I can't get enough of it. It's just keep spraying it over and over. It's got a great trail. This is definitely a house you look or you turn to for trail and sillage and things like that, and projection and longevity. But I like this one because it's a bit tropical, it's a bit fruity, very floral, and very, very musky with some sweet vanillic touches and things like that. And as I said, this one garners compliments and it's super, super amazing. So Dolce Melodia from the house of Sospiro. Wonderful offering, I think. Next up, going to the house of Giardini di Toscana. This is Blue Indaco, this one right here. So I've spoken a little bit about two of their other fragrances, Bora Bora and Bianco Latte. This is the third one that I'm talking about today, and stay tuned for not a full house overview, but we're talking about 6 fragrances. I've got my buddy Joe back in the studio, and we break down 6 of the fragrances from this house, including this one. But this is so good, guys. Just like Bora Bora and Bianco Latte, this is super delicious, featuring notes of muscanone, habanalide, ambroxan, almonds, vanilla, frangipani, bergamot, pink pepper. So the video that we did together for this house was shot about 3 days ago, no, maybe 4 days ago, and we were talking about how this fragrance reminds of marzipan. There's definitely a marzipan-like quality, but for me, it acts very dry and powdery, but it's super, super delicious. Marzipan is a paste and a bit wet and ambery. Here, it's dry and powdery, but if you like almonds, you've got to get your nose on this one. Sure, it will remind you of marzipan and also just gourmandish touches for sure, and lots of musk. Muscanone and habanalide are musks, which I discuss in the video for tomorrow. You'll learn a little bit about those notes, but it's here along with the almonds and vanilla and the frangipani. So there's a bit of a tropical touch here, but it's super delicious. Definitely kind of a dry marzipan almond thing happening here. So this is Blue Indaco from the house of Giardini di Toscana, a really, really great fragrance from that house. Stay tuned for that video tomorrow. But the next fragrance I'm talking about is going to the house of Xerjoff. This is Astaral, this one right here. So Astaral is a kind of oud and rose combo, but really nicely done. We're not breaking any new ground with this because I've seen so many oud and rose combos, but they've done a great job with this one. It smells really, really delicious, and I'm kind of back into enjoying the oud rose combo thing. But this one has some moss note. It's got rose, it's got shamama accord, there's got oud, there's labdanum, amberwood, violet, anise, and amber. I like the anise in here and the amber, and of course the violet gives you a little bit of a light makeup-y thing once it connects with the rose. But it's definitely oud, but a wearable oud, really a delicious and delight to wear. Astaral from the house of Xerjoff. So to check that one out if you don't know it. And of course it's going to be very, very long lasting. And speaking of long lasting, this next fragrance is also very, very long lasting. Going to the house of Tiziana Terenzi. This is Borelli, this one right here. Man, this stuff smells really, really great. Sometimes the fragrances of Tiziana Terenzi are so super delicious. Sometimes they remind me of other fragrances, or they become repetitive, reminding me of their other fragrances. But this one is a beautiful woody floral fragrance that's perfect, I think, to wear in the autumn season. Although I think you can wear this any time of the year. It's strong. It's really, really strong and intense. Extrait de Parfum concentration here. But it's sandalwood with tuberose. There's frangipani. There's vanilla, lily of the valley, ebony, musk. A lot of stuff going on in here. There's also aldehydes, which gives you that lift. Remember, we spoke about aldehydes and fragrances. Gives you a lightness about it, so it doesn't really get choking and things like that. But out of some of their fragrances, Borelli is really super delicious from this house. So Borelli from Tiziana Terenzi, check that out if you don't know it. Moving on to the house of Manos Gerakinis, a fragrance created by Chris Maurice. This is Methexis right here. I like this one. It's fig and a gourmand fig. Really a great combination. You've got the fruits and you've got the green leaves, along with gourmand notes like cocoa and vanilla. But there's also dried fruits in here, honey, benzoin, musk, cinnamon, vetiver. So it's a bit of a holiday-ish vibe. Not quite, but I like that whole green contrast of the leaves of the fig running throughout the fruitiness of the fig and all those gourmand notes as well. Chris Maurice does great gourmands. I really like his gourmands a lot more than his ouds, although I like some of his ouds as well, and I think he did a great job here. It's Methexis from the house of Manoscaraquinas. It's a great scent. If you guys haven't tried it yet, please do. Up next, going to the house of Laboratorio Olfativo. This is Vanagloria, this one right here. I'm going back to one of my favorites from this house. In fact, it is my favorite fragrance of this house. It's kind of that baby cat-ish like fragrance with the incense and also the vanilla note. It's a really super delicious. There's also a bit of leather thrown in and of course some tonka and musk as well. But it's super delicious. This is the kind of incense I enjoy because incense gets cold when you wear it. It doesn't have a lot of warmth, and I like the fact that the vanilla creates this warmth and more of an inviting and cozy factor to the fragrance. Really super amazing. Vanagloria, one of my favorite fragrances of the last couple of years. It's super amazing. Then we're going to the house of Oman Luxury. This is Royal Incense, speaking of incense again. And I like these too because it's the warmth, the warm notes with the kind of cold incense note. This time we're dealing with honey against the incense. So it sweetens up and it kind of warms up the kind of cold incense note in here. There's definitely a rosy vibe in here, but there's no mention of rose. I get a rosiness for sure. Really a rosy combo. And I also get a reminder of by Kilian's now discontinued incense oud. That was one of my favorite fragrances from the Arabian Nights collection, although there were several I liked. I liked the rose and the incense the most. And this stuff reminds me of it, but it's so good, guys. There's leather here, there's honey, there's incense, there's amber, and then there's musk, and of course, as I said, there's that idea of rosiness, but there's also geranium listed, and sometimes geranium can smell like rose, and that's probably what's going on. But either way, Royal Incense, super amazing fragrance from that house, Oman Luxury. Moving on to the house of Electimus London, this is Gladiator Oud, this one right here. Fragrance created by Julian Rascanet. What I like about this is the oud and also the sweet kind of fruity stuff in here. A bit ethereal and airy. It's not like a thick, dense oud, but it's got great legs. It's got great longevity. It's got the cumin note in here, so it acts a bit sweaty, which I really like. There's Immortelle, there's geranium, patchouli. It's a wonderful wear. It does remind of the moon, but man, this stuff is long-lasting, really intense, but not weighty. It doesn't weigh down. It's not dense and heavy, and it doesn't get super animalic. It does get sweaty, though, just be warned, but I really love the combination of the notes together. Really great fragrance. This is Gladiator Oud from the house of Electimus London. Then moving on to the house of Marc-Antoine Barrois. This is Ganymede Extrait, this one right here. It's just a more intense version of the original. It's in Extrait de Parfum concentration, but definitely not really much more intense than the original. You can certainly go with the original. The original, I think, is a classic and very popular. This version, it's just a little more intense, and of course it's got the whole minerally muskiness with the Immortelle. There's a violet leaves. There's also the saffron safraline note. There's myrrh here, mandarin, of course, the akigala wood, this proprietary ingredient from Givaudan that Quinton Biche uses quite a bit of, which is kind of like a cleaned up patchouli. Really great smell. This is Ganymede Extrait from the house of Marc-Antoine Barrois. Check that out if you don't know it. Up next, going to the house of Juicebox. This is Visionary Eye, this one right here. I wanted to feature one iris-focused fragrance, and I really like this one. It's musky, very powdery, along with aromatic notes of lavender, spicy aromatic note of wormwood, so a bit of green booziness, and there's also warmth from cinnamon. There's musk, sandalwood, vanilla, and thyme. It's this great combination of this powdery, floaty, ethereal, airy iris and orris, a bit of butteriness in there, along with lots of aromatics and spices. Smells really great, created by Dominique Ropian, and it's a perfect fragrance to wear in warmer days during the autumn months. But Visionary Eye is great. If you haven't tried that one, please do. It was actually one of the samples in Mystery Box. And then speaking of Mystery Box, we have another fragrance here that was also featured. It's Gold Spot by the house of Sarah Baker. So if you liked Ludo and you wanted something different, this version of well, it's called Gold Spot. It's just an evolution of Ludo. It becomes more gourmand. It still has the citrusy touches, kind of the petitgrain greenness, but it's intensified with sweeter notes. The oud is there. There's gourmand notes in here. There's dark chocolate. There's also resinous touches of myrrh and things like that. So it's definitely much more sweeter and also more gourmand in comparison to Ludo and then the original fragrance called Symmetry. So this is Gold Spot. I think it would make a great fragrance for the autumn months. Check that out if you don't know it. Next, going to the house of A Nuit Nomade. This is Sugar Leather, this one right here. And sugar leather to me is leather, definitely lightly animalic as well, so there's a bit of funk there. but it's kind of taking leather and meshing it with something like Guajan or Ambre Narguilé, because there's notes in here that remind me of some of those kind of fragrances. But definitely it's dense leather here and contrasted with kind of sweet or gourmandish notes. And I think it's a great combination of notes to wear in the autumn, and also a balance of very masculine notes of leather with a bit more unisex, maybe even feminine leaning notes of sweet gourmandish notes. I think it's a great combination, wonderful creation, and a great fragrance. Another great fragrance from this wonderful house that I'm actually obsessed with, Nuit Nomade. So this is Sugar Leather from Nuit Nomade. If you haven't tried it, do try it. And then going to the house of Royal Crown, it's Nocturna. This is a very unusual vanilla fragrance in that it has ambergris, but maybe the ambergris is not necessarily ambergris, it's ambroxan. It acts a bit of, marine-esque, and also a bit of ambroxan-like. And I like that it's got a great trail. It's not a big beastly trail, but definitely has a really sexy trail. So it's the ambergris with vanilla. There's sandalwood here, peony, melon, magnolia, peach, and lychee. It's really great fragrance. Wonderful offering. I like the way it smells. It's kind of vanilla, but not sugary, sweet, syrupy, more toned down vanilla with some other unique notes that create a wonderful, concoction. So this is Nocturna from the house of Royal Crown. If you guys don't know that one, do check it out. This one I have to bring up. This is Thomas DeMonico's Raw Gold. Really great fragrance. Honeyed, patchouli, a bit barnyardy and animalic, and then also resins and a bit of booziness and coffee as well. So it's kind of like, for me, Killian's Gold Night and also Ted Lapidus Pour Homme combined together. I don't know if you guys don't know those two fragrances. Ted Lapidus is kind of an 80s powerhouse for men, and then it has honey, and then the Golden Night has anise and honey as well. And for me, this is kind of like the combination of those two fragrances, and it's a really great smelling fragrance. Once again, a very long-lasting, intoxicating smell, and great creation, I think. So this is Raw Gold from the house of Thomas DeMonico. Really great fragrance for autumn, I think, and also winter. And then the last fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is a fragrance that I featured in Mystery Box as well. This is going to the house of Angela's Creations Olfactives. This is Krinos. I can't get enough of this one. This smells super fantastic. And even though it has notes that are more appropriate for spring, like Lily of the Valley, I think there are other autumnal notes in here that I think will work perfect for autumn as well. So it's Lily of the Valley, there's musks in here, there's amber, rhubarb, there's orange flower, there's other flowers. Just a really beautiful combination of notes. It acts a bit leathery for me as well, and that's why I think it's perfect for autumn wear. But it's super amazing, and this is exclusively selling at Lucky Scent, and I have a link in the info box. It's not selling anywhere else. So if you guys are into the market to get this one, especially those of you that got the mystery box, do get it right away because it's limited edition as well. So this is a great fragrance, Krinos from the house of Angela's Creations Olfactives, and that's the last fragrance for you guys. So let me know your thoughts on these 22 fragrances I spoke to you about today, and what are you guys going to be wearing this particular autumn season that's coming around the corner. Do let me know, put a comment down below so I can find out. Either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video, please share it, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. So one last fragrance I wanted to talk to you about. If you noticed, everything in the main list was all niche fragrances, niche houses. I've got one designer fragrance for you guys here. This is YSL's Queer, this one right here. I recently did a short of this one, and really a great creation by Fabrice Pellegrin for the house of YSL, the Le Vestiaire collection. So basically it's oud, violet leaves, and suede cord, and it creates a kind of very easy to wear leather, but slight animalic undertones as well. The violet leaves gives it a freshness because it's ozonic, it's a bit watery, it's a bit crisp, it's a bit green, and against the leather and the oud, it's really a great fragrance to wear. It's a great leather, not necessarily very heavy. It doesn't get quite animalic, but some of you that are more sensitive to the animalic notes might think this is animalic, but I feel like the violet leaves really tones down any kind of animalic qualities it has. I really like this one. Definitely not baby cat, but a great creation. This is the 2023 edition. There used to be one from like the mid 2010s, but if you haven't gotten your nose on it, do. This is YSL's Queer, and that is the bonus option for you guys. Thanks so much for watching today. See you guys tomorrow. Remember, we've got a video for the house of Giardini di Toscana, we are doing a full bottle giveaway as well, plus a discovery set. So make sure you tune in for that video.